Good evening everyone, welcome to the Planning Highways Committee meeting today, the 30th of August. First, a brief health and safety introduction. We're not expecting a fire drill, but if the alarm does sound, please make your way to the nearest fire exit. The emergency exit at the back of the chambers will take you across the roof down the fire escape. Take care, as this may be slippery if wet. Or you can exit the way you enter the building through the police station and out the front door. If it is not possible to get to an exit, then the lift lobby is a safety zone in the event of a fire. Under no circumstances should the lift be used. Please make sure that all mobile phones and devices are switched off or on silent. Any individual wishing to video or audio record the meeting may do so. I must inform you that this meeting is being videoed by the Council and will be uploaded to the Council's YouTube channel. Please remember, anyone wishing to speak in the public participation part of the meeting should raise their hand and wait for me as Chair to gesture you to speak. You will be given a maximum of 4 minutes to make your representation, which should be aimed at me as Chair. Please state the agenda item which you will be speaking about. Through me as Chair, Council members or officers may then respond to your point if necessary. You will not automatically be able to reply unless I as Chair allow you to do so. The full public participation policy and other helpful policies are available from the document holder in the public gallery. To all present, please remember to show respect to others in the meeting and avoid interrupting where possible to enable others to follow the meeting. Anyone present felt to be behaving unacceptably will be excluded from the meeting by the Chair. Any member of the public looking to leave the meeting should wait for the Council officer to escort them out of the building. Thank you. Right, agenda item 1, apologies for absence.
Just one apology, Madam, from Councillor Latham.
Thank you. Item 2, disclosure of interest. To deal with any disclosure by members of any disclosable pecuniary interest and interests other than pecuniary interests as defined under the C4 Town Council Code of Conduct and Local Liaison Act 2011 in relation to matters on the agenda. Councillor
LW/180616. It's the same as previously. I've had lots of conversations with the neighbours, so I'll participate.
Thank you. One's on the planning applications committee rules.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 3, public participation. In accordance with Standing Order 3 and C4 Town Council policy, members of the public will be entitled to speak on general issues concerning this committee on non-planning application matters at this point. People wishing to speak on planning applications may do so immediately before each planning application. So, any of them thoughts? Yes.
I'll be speaking before my planning.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay. So planning applications, weekend in the 3rd of August, LW/1A/0-512, 63 Burgess Road. Any members of the public like to comment on this application? To the committee, Councillor?
Now, I just wanted to mention that one of the plans that's on there is all to do with the porch, which we're not looking at. It's a bit on there.
From 1980?
Yes.
No.
I'm not quite sure why that plan was in there. But anyway, in principle, I would support the application.
Yeah, there's nothing to indicate how high the wall would be, but which is a bit of a unfortunate a bit of information that would have been useful. But I mean, it's a retaining wall, so presumably it would be quite low. But it would have been helpful if there had been a little bit more detail.
This is basically open plan
Yeah.
frontage on the estate. So the proposer has seconded, so we can have a show of hands of supporting the application. LW/1H/0556 5 Sutton Avenue. Any members of the public want to comment on this application? Open to the committee. Councillor Lowe?
I was just going to comment on, it seemed a shame to lose the carriage. I couldn't really see why the carriage was going, because it wasn't on the site of the extension. But it's only a comment then, isn't it? I think it's a shame to lose carriage space, but other than that, I just think
That's a proposal.
yeah.
Councillor Conlon?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I think there's like a conservative style frontage, isn't there, really, for that particular side of the building where you obviously get maximum south sort of facing, so that's why they're doing it obviously right now. So I don't mind seconding it.
Any other comments? I have another show of hands of support on this application. Thank you. LW/1H/0579 20 Ramsey Lane. Any members of the public like to comment on this application? Open to the committee. Councillor Hunley?
As I say, as it's grade 2 listed, I mean, it's quite subtle inside what I can see, so I'm sure they do it with the appropriate building materials to those sort of standards.
So, I mentioned the previous one that there was a very similar application for the property next door that the chairman sort of alerted me to, that she recalled about 2.5 years ago. Very similar proposals which were supported by the committee and approved. So it seems like it's a sort of standard alteration for given the layout of these houses in order to sort of make it slightly easier for the occupiers.
Yeah.
So kind of seconder. Thank you, Councillor Freeman. Any other comments? So I can have a show of hands of supporting the application as unanimous. LW/1H/0603 5 True Close. Any members of the public like to comment on this application? Open to the committee. Councillor?
And my main concern really was that there's just a note in the plan saying hedge to be removed, and it's a long hedge right down the side of the property. So unless I missed it, there was no mention of it being replaced or what alternative boundary is going to be there. I mean, other than that, I have no intention.
Because I think it's an odd shape.
It's an odd shape, and so they had to take the hedge
So
down.
providing it's the hedge.
But it's, yeah, perhaps we could just mention that it'd be nice to know that it was a suitable boundary. I mean, the neighbours haven't complained.
Well, you just say that, the loss of the hedge would be regrettable, but you've got no objection in principle, something like that. And they might require some, if there's any room, they might require some additional planting or something. I don't know how they're building up to the boundary.
Yeah, and I think the wall will be the boundary.
Yeah, I see, yeah.
So that the part,
It's an odd shape, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can say, that you regretted the loss of the hedge, but on principle, you couldn't see any reason to make a formal objection or something like that. It's up to you.
Are you happy with that?
I'll second that.
Okay, Councillor. Any other comments? Councillor Helen?
Thank you. Yes, I mean, it was interesting that the extension was going on bedroom 1, but I don't think it was really a problem. I mean, it's just a more of an observation really. Because as you say, you're quite limited where they could do the extension, so that's what they have done.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
Right, so can I have a show of hands supporting the application with the comment about the hedge? That's unanimous. LW/1H/0612 to Brooklyn Road. Any members of the public like to comment on this application? Open to the committee. Councillor Freeman?
I would support it because it's giving more office space in town, isn't it?
Councillor Lowe?
I just, my only slight worry was, because it's workshop or office, I mean, I'd be worried if it was going to be a workshop that was for some noisy purpose or dirty,
Yeah.
because, can you
If
clarify
it was
that?
a workshop, a B1 workshop is a workshop where it's like, well, light industrial, or very light industrial, where the processes don't involve potential nuisance, noise, etc. The ordinary industrial B8, that's the class where you get an industrial estate where it's possible to have, smells, noise from processes and not suitable in a residential area. Whereas a B1 workshop is very light.
Just as business.
Mm.
Just as one.
Just as business.
Business.
Yeah, it covers a lot of things.
General
But yeah, B1's light industrial. It used to be called light industrial. But, so yes, if there is any nuisance problem, then it's not just an environmental health matter. It's a change of planning use as well.
It's quite a residential area, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, that's what we're going to do with it.
Yeah, there's sort of this end of Brooklyn Road, where
Yeah.
there is more businesses.
Yes, because it says sui generis, I mean, it basically is not really going to change too much the layout as such. It's almost as it is, isn't it? And I don't think they'll be doing an awful lot there in that sense. It just broadens your horizon then, but doesn't know what they can do.
It's just to cover the fact that the educational activities have been brought into St John's School, I think, and
Right, got
it
you.
used to be used as an annex to St John's School, whereas now that sort of work, that the workshop is incorporated in the school. So they had the educational tag attached to it because it was connected originally with St John's School, so now they're going to take it off. So I think
Why the broad
yeah, it's relatively harmless, I think, in the circumstances. It's just the previous justification was in connection with the school, and that connection no longer exists.
Okay, so I've got a proposal from Councillor Freeman to support this application. So, Councillor Lowe, and can I have a show of hands, please? That's unanimous. Planning applications weekend in the 10th of August. LW/1H/0616, 5 South Street. Any members of the public like to comment on this application? Open to the committee. Anyone want to comment on this?
We discussed it earlier on this evening, and it seems to be a smaller plan than what was there already, so I would support it. I think it's because it's better than what was there already, so, and it's good to see business in the town.
Yes, it's a bit of an odd one, because the previous plan was approved, so you do wonder why they didn't go ahead with the previous plan. It may be that there is some private reason why they having to sort of modify the plans to do with the problems that there were previously with the neighbours. So it does look like as if it's a sort of a good modification as far as the area is concerned, because it draws in the boundaries.
So it's probably less contentious than the original application.
Yeah, again, it would have been helpful if the agent in a statement had explained exactly why they were doing this and what they were doing. You have to make a sort of educated guess on circumstances and what happened before. But I think overall it is supportable and in preference to the previous plan.
Not for financial reasons, I think.
Could be.
Okay, so proposing, seconded. Thank you, Councillor Freeman. Any other comments? So can I have a show of hands in supporting this application? That's unanimous.
Councillor Rose.
LW/1H/0614, Avondale Hotel, 4 to 5 Avondale Road. Any members of the public like to comment on this?
Yeah, my name is Mr Moore, the agent. I just really wanted to remind members that the principle of change of use of this hotel to residential has already been established. Planning approval was granted in January of this year to change the use of the hotel to a 31-bed HMO. My client is different to that client. Currently, she's the owner. She's been the owner for many years of the hotel. I'm not sure what's going on with that HMO plan. So she's looking for outline planning to turn the hotel into 6 flats, 2 on each floor. 2 beds and 2 1-beds in the roof space. They will all meet national internal size standards.
Thank you. Open to the committee. Councillor Ellsman.
I would support this application. I think it's better than what was proposed before. I wasn't particularly keen on what was proposed before, if I was honest. I don't think I supported it last time, if I remember rightly. So yeah, I think it's better, and it's a shame to lose a hotel. But that's already been decided, isn't it? So yeah.
Okay. So, Councillor Lowell.
You were first.
I just wanted to express my happiness really with, I think Lewes District Council sat on the fence beautifully when you made their report. It's all about how we need to encourage tourism and dreadful loss of tourist beds and all the rest of it. And then they sort of shrugged their shoulders at the end and said, well, that's what's going to happen, that's what's going to happen. So I felt I had to say that. I thought it was disgraceful really. Always come down in favour of the tourist regeneration.
I was going to give the same advice as Mr Moore has given you. You know, that unfortunately you have to accept that the loss of the hotel has been sort of set in stone by Lewis's previous decision. There's nothing to stop you passing on comments, say regretting the loss of the hotel, but as far as this application is concerned, because of that previous decision, there's little that you have, little material, not much material to oppose it. As I say, you can still express regret because, it was one of the last hotels, or the last hotel in the town, and it did go against that policy. Lewis made their decision, and you have to abide by that.
Councillor Freeman.
Yeah, I think, I think we do need to stress that we regret losing the hotel, but we do have a positive view on this, that it's 6 properties towards the neighbourhood plan.
Thank you, Councillor Freeman. So, proposal of Councillor Hannon.
I mean, obviously, Chair, I was disappointed that we obviously sold on it last time and it was going to be the houses of model occupation, wasn't it? Hence losing the hotel at that particular stage. That's what we were sold as, and I do find it quite disappointing in a way that we've lost that aspect and going into the, because obviously that's what the conflicting parts of Lewes District Council with housing and the tourism. So in a way I feel very disappointed that it's going into normal self-contained flats for anyone to buy. So I myself will not be supporting this particular application because it goes against the District Council and it goes against hopefully the forthcoming neighbourhood plan as well, which supports accommodation tourism. At the moment, it's obviously Seaford is not a destination town if we can't support a hotel. So I find that quite disappointing that town the size of Seaford cannot even support not even one hotel. I know we've got a few B&Bs still around, but we haven't actually got and that's the last hotel. So I myself will not be supporting this particular application.
Anybody else want to comment? So I've got a proposer by Councillor Elton. We don't get a seconder. Councillor Claude, and can I have a show of hands of supporting this application?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in favour.
And those against?
That's 10, 6, 1. So 2, sorry. So the decision is to the loss of the hotel is still regretted, but it's acknowledged that previous decision of the District Council to change the use to an HMO makes it impossible to formally oppose this change of use. So it's supported, basically. Okay. just to make that clear to,
Yeah.
those are the comments that will go forward.
Yeah, thank you. LW stroke 1A stroke 0629 1 Wellington Park. Any members of the public like to comment on this application? Open to the committee. Councillor Lowe?
I see no reason to object to this, so I support the application.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comment? I can have a show of hands of supporting this application. It's unanimous. LW stroke 18 stroke 0574 Seaford Railway Station, Station Approach. Any members of the public like to comment on this application? Open to the committee. Councillor Freeman?
I think this brings the booking core facilities up to modern standards without affecting the fabric of the buildings, of the listed building. And I've seen similar projects done before, and they all look very smart with modern LED lighting, and it generally creates a much better environment for the travelling public, and I support this application.
Thank you. That's a proposal. Councillor Lowe?
Can I make one flippant remark? Let's hope that the ticket office is actually open a bit more, so the only thing that I was a bit worried about was that there isn't why they're overlaying the existing corridors, which I went to look at today, and they were very nice. I mean, I would like to mention that, you know, they're good.
I wondered that as well.
They're traditional corridors, and they look the part, they're not cracked and damaged.
Because it's a listed, grade 2 listed building, they can't dig them up and lay a new floor, otherwise this plan would be rejected. But by putting new flooring on top, it's retaining the corridors underneath and probably protects them to a certain degree.
To hide them.
And yeah, the type of flooring doesn't really go with the rest of the decor, does it? And it's probably not up to current safety standards, so they're slightly uneven.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they'll be retained, which is good. Good.
So I think is the reasoning on that.
I think also there'll be a non-slip surface as well, which is better for the problem.
Thank you. So the proposal by Councillor Nick Freeman. Is there a seconder? So Lindsay Freeman. Can I have a show of hands, please? So that's unanimous. LW stroke 18 stroke 0499 30 Dukes Close. Any members of the public like to comment on this application? Open to the committee. Councillor Lowe?
I think it was an improvement on the previous plan. I think I might say it was much more modest, wasn't it? And it wasn't. I think one of the problems identified was that it was on this corner, wasn't it? That it's now smaller and more in keeping. So
Any other comments? No?
Basically, you've still got the two front doors, so the comments we made before about the need to restrict or prevent the annex from becoming a separate dwelling and remaining as sort of an annex rather than a separate unit still apply presumably. But you say that it's very difficult to see the difference. We made those comments before. I think it was just the last meeting, wasn't it? That we did support it, but was concerned about that it should be split into two units, so it should remain as an annex. So basically, those comments still apply.
Councillor Freeman?
The only difference I can see is that they've removed a sink right in the window and they've taken the kitchen off.
I endorse that, because when I looked at the plans before, it was identical, apart from the fact the word kitchen, that meant the symbol for a sink had been removed from the actual drawing. And I think I would be more comfortable with the more
confirmation on this actually, actually stating exactly what their intentions are. But it's,
Yeah, well, again, it comes back to the agent not explaining exactly what the difference is between the two plans, 2A and 2B.
yeah,
You know, they're just a straightforward submission of plans isn't enough sometimes. It just needs to be explained how the plan differs and why it differs. Because he's obviously had some more discussions with the case officer, but they aren't mentioned at all in the commentary, and all we get is a notice that amended plan has been submitted and we're given, you know, a further 3 weeks to comment. So it's not very helpful really. So, I mean, if you agree, then we could go back and say, well, you know, it should have been made clear how these plans differ. There may be very subtle differences which we've overlooked, but it does appear that they look pretty similar. Our comments before were that it could be supported, but there was concern that it would be split into 2 units. They still apply, and it would be helpful when reconsultations are being carried out that it's made clear why you're reconsulting, rather than and what the differences are in the plans, rather than leaving it to
yes,
like a puzzle, a spot the difference puzzle, as I mentioned, because you know it takes time to sort things out.
I'm sure it's not a requirement. So it's standard procedure.
Yeah, well, there's, design and access statements are required in most cases, except for household applications, they're not really required. So extensions, you don't really have to explain, you know, what's what. So some agents do, some just rely on the plans. But in this case, I think it would have been helpful, considering it's a reconsultation, to make it a bit clearer why. But yeah, it's up to you to make a decision.
I've got a proposal by Councillor Lower to support this application.
I would like to keep our original comments about,
Yeah,
yeah.
supporting it, yeah, and not having it 2 units. Yeah.
Okay, does that find a seconder? Councillor Hunman. And can I have show of hands, please? That's unanimous. Planning applications weekend in the 17th of August. LW/18/0669, 1 Blatchington Close. Any members of the public like to comment on this application? Open to the committee. To comment on this application? Councillor?
I think it was well designed and it you know, it fits in nicely with the existing house and
yeah, I agree with that. It's a nice extension and it's in keeping with the existing property. And it's not too large.
Any other comments? No? So, can I have a show of hands of supporting this application? Yes. LW/18/0653, Fieldings, 18 Pearl Road. Any members of the public like to comment? Yes.
Good evening, Chair. My name is Julie Warren and I'm the owner of Fieldings, 18 Far Road. My husband and I carefully studied the reasons for the previous refusal and have taken into account all of them in this revised application as follows. We have moved the driveway so it is now 4.5 metres away from the neighbour's bungalow, which also means that the existing hedges and trees can now remain and will screen the driveway. The distance of our proposed block paved driveway from the boundary will now be 3.5 metres, whereas their gravel driveway is only 1.5 metres from the boundary. We've reduced the footprint of the bungalow so that it is now less than the footprint of the existing house, and we've moved the new boundary line so that the existing house retains a larger garden. The design of the bungalow is now more traditional with brick and flint walls and clay tiled roof. The overall height of the roof is also less. We've moved the position of the bungalow, and it is now 4 times the distance away from the boundary of 5 Barn Close. It will now be 9.5 metres from the boundary, where theirs is only 4 metres. It will not be possible to look into the ground floor of their house, as there is a 1.5 metre brick wall and trees. The only overlooking will be that of which exists on the first floor of number 5 into our garden. It was stated that backland development was not encouraged in Seaford. To the contrary, we found and shown on a map enclosed in our application that there are some 54 houses in Seaford built behind others, 2 of which are accessed from conservation area, and a further substantial one built in the conservation area of Blatchington Hill. The widening of the existing pedestrian gate in the front wall to form the opening will result in the loss of approximately 2 metres of flint wall. This wall is in poor condition and the underside of the wall is exposed. We have given this a lot of thought and now propose to construct side walls from the opening into the driveway in flint, as has been successfully done elsewhere along the road. This will be a 4 metre long wall on the north side and a 2 metre wall on the south side, making a total of 6 metres of wall, which will be an extra 4 metres of flint wall overall. The new wall will also be of better quality, based on a proper foundation, all of which will ensure that the wall will last longer and will look better. We've sent this proposal to the planning department, and I have a copy here for you which I would like to hand to you if that is allowed, please. We've also printed up the 54 houses, which we thought would be hard to see on the computer but better to see. Is that all right? Was that to you?
Well, the plan of the 54 houses is already on the website.
We just thought it was hard to see on
yeah, so a clearer copy of that is fine, because that's not a new thing. I mean, I think it's best if you explain what the officer has said rather than submit another document. You know, because we like all the documents that the members, you know, the ones on the website basically already on there, so that they can see, you know, what's been submitted already. We don't like documents handed around because it takes time to sort of process them. But if in this case, if you're saying what the officer advised regarding the wall, if you could just explain it and add it to your address, I think that would be easier.
You mean please refer to attached?
Oh, what does it consist of?
Just that. And then there's this
So it's what your builder has put into the council.
for the front wall.
Yeah. So well, you've explained that already, haven't you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at the sides.
And
Yeah.
that's the 54.
Yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Any other comments on this application? Left to the committee. That's Alton.
I find it's been quite difficult, if I'm honest. Clearly gone to a lot of effort to make some improvements. I'm on the fence at the moment, if I'm honest. I'm not keen on sort of garden grabbing and sort of overdevelopment. That garden's quite a conservation area, isn't it? I'm just having a look at it on the map. It's tough. I'll think about it a bit more, I think.
Councillor?
I mean, it is a more modest proposal now. I think our real concerns were that it was almost up to the boundary and it was very large for the plot that had been allocated to it. And I think they've addressed an awful lot of that. So although I have reservations about that garden grabbing, I mean, you've obviously got evidence that it's not unprecedented in Seaford, so I think I'd probably just about come down on the side of supporting this now that it's been amended.
Councillor Honeywell?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so the applicant will be working with Lewes District Council on the plans and the modifications and so on to I think the proposals a bit, they say, is a bit more modest and a bit more acceptable for the area. I mean, you've really got to go to the next property up, and they've got this small close in there. It's not too far away, is it? Where they are, it is an example of some infill, isn't there? With about 3 houses, and you know, not too far away in their back garden, so to speak. And I mean, I like the way that the bungalow, the new bungalow, is smaller, lower level, repositioned, smaller than the original house. Just basically all being repositioned again, and I think it's just more acceptable overall. And the entrance with the flint walls, that seems to be address the issue a bit more on that particular side of things. So I'm a bit like Councillor Lowe. I'm quite, obviously we don't like back development so much, but I think on this, and it's been amended as such, I think we can say, okay, accept it now. So.
Councillor Elton,
Yeah, I propose we support it actually. I quite like the materials have changed as well from the sounds of things, which sounds, I quite like that. So yeah, I propose we support it this time around.
okay, so find a seconder. Councillor Lord?
Yeah, I'd just like to say I'm against garden grabbing as it's called. But I have to say, in retrospect, when I came here, I was adamant I was going to not support the application. I think you've done a lot of work in addressing a lot of the issues which we brought to your attention, which was also brought to Lewes District Council's attention. I still think it's a little bit too big. And I'm not happy about the flint wall being knocked about to the front. It will be rebuilt into a decent standard as well. And it's a very difficult application. Because
Councillor Lord, can you do
sorry,
chairs?
I do beg your pardon. It is I like speaking to people who spoken to me, so it's an old trade. And it's very difficult when, sorry, talk me back on you.
Yes.
And it's a very difficult decision to make with regards to if we allow once in Blatchington, then every house supports it. We'll have to go in for the same application as well, and we set a very difficult precedent for ourselves. The houses in Blatchington are large detached houses with large gardens, and what we propose now is a large detached house with another detached house in the rear of the garden. And as every house up there has a garden big enough to play a game of cricket in, the next application will have 2 houses, and then have 3 houses. And we'll say, well, actual fact, you live at the field, so why can't we have it? So we'll be setting a very, very complicated, difficult precedent for ourselves. And it's a very difficult decision to make. I would be more comfortable if I could have a little more time to consider this. That's my own personal view. To put on the spot with a series of different parameters from the previous application that was rejected by ourselves and Lewes District Council. I would like, if that's possible, to defer the meeting to spend some more time doing it. If we can't do that, then unfortunately I'll be voting against it.
When does this come up before
Well, whenever, this is a relatively recent application, but the deadline will fall before our next meeting on the 20th. The deadline probably goes up to about the 13th of September, something like that, considering when it was notified to us. So if we don't deal with it at this meeting, if we give ourselves time for more thought and defer it, there's a danger that it will be decided without the benefit of our comments. Having said that, you know, I can email the officer, the case officer tomorrow, and he may agree to, you know, an extension of a week or so to allow our comments to be submitted. I mean, as far as the planning aspects of the application are concerned, as far as I can see, the applicants have made a genuine attempt to modify the plans in line with the grounds of refusal and the objections that were raised before. I think the flint wall is quite an important factor. That was the first ground of refusal, which normally means it's the weightiest ground of refusal. If you look at the decision notice of Lewes District Council, they didn't want to lose the length of flint wall in conservation area because it's one of the main factors which gives this conservation area, and a lot of conservation areas, its sort of main character. But the fact that you have to take into account, though, that the applicant has done they've got to have an opening. There's no way they can get access without an opening, but they have done their best to mitigate the effect of that by providing these sidewalls and an extra 4 metres of flint, which puts the balance, makes it far more delicate. When you also take into account the reduction of the footprint of the house, the fact that that leaves a larger garden for both units, which is one of the concerns I think that this committee had before, and the road, the access road is moved slightly to enable that belt of trees and hedges to be retained. You've still got an effect on for the barn house and the barn house at the rear, and the occupiers of those houses have repeated their objections and sent copies to us to report here today. But I mean, they're on the website anyway, the objections that have been submitted. And then there's this principle of backland development. It's true to say that there are backland developments around, but there is still an outstanding policy against backland development, which has been used to refuse other applications in other areas like Heathfield Road, where there was backland development allowed. And then the further house, the backland development was used as a ground for refusal, and then when the scheme was modified, that scheme was approved. So again, it's sort of a delicate balance. So I'd say that the applicants have made worthwhile efforts to overcome the reasons for refusal that were put to their previous application. And yes, it is a very sort of delicate balance, but it's not really going to change. And I can understand you wanting to give it more thought. But I think the issues are quite clear, and I'd encourage you. It's a difficult decision, but I'd encourage you to come to a decision tonight on your approach to it, rather than wait.
I mean, in fairness, I mean, we get planning application lists each week, so you can do these applications weekly, not wait to the agenda. So there has been plenty of time to study this application. I think, firstly, we have got a proposal on the table by Councillor Elton to support this application.
I was just going to add, I don't think it really changes much in terms of the street. You know, if you're in the area itself, I don't think this property would make an impact in terms of the overall feeling you'd get from the area. I think that's why I support it. I mean, ultimately, I don't think it makes a huge difference. I think even when you're looking down on the map, I don't think it changes very much at all. And I think, in the scheme of things, I think that's why it's a tough decision, but I think I'd slightly come down on the side of supporting it, because ultimately I don't think it makes much difference.
Councillor, you seconded it?
Yes, yeah, I was the same thing. I mean, it's a very delicate balance, and I'm not convinced, to be honest, it will get through Lewes, but I think you're right about it doesn't change the streets in actual fact, does it?
No.
Because, as you say, next door there's Bond, whatever it is, Bond Close, there's loads behind there, isn't there? I was amazed when I walked up there.
The trees are going to stay the same.
Councillor Green.
I came here not knowing what decision I would come to on this one, and after hearing the lady speak and seeing that there is a reduced size bungalow and the flint walls will be retained, I'm supporting it.
Right, so we have got. Sorry.
I mean, the conservation area, Chair, is obviously quite narrow, isn't it? It's the appearance of the road, isn't it? And I mean, again, the whole road. I mean, there's been mass development of one of the residential homes, isn't there? in that area.
Hamilton House.
On the left as you go up, isn't it?
That's
Yeah, huge development. It doesn't really change the feel as the whole road, does it? Even though you know that's been almost doubled in size, isn't it? I know it's different development. It's not too far away in that respect, and there's been obviously quite a lot of modifications of increased traffic for that particular area. So I know that's not residential. It's sort of.
I mean, I think, like as Jeff, our planning officer has pointed out, the main factor was the flint wall on the previous. So it's how you feel on the flint wall retention. As I say, if we've got a proposer and seconder to support this application. So can I have a show of hands, please?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in favour.
And those against?
That's carried 6-1.
So that's carried. Thank you. Does anybody want to go at this point? You're quite welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, which probably won't take too long. But, do you would like to go? Yeah.
I feel you're locked in.
No escaping us.
Right.
Bye.
Right.
I suppose it's
Can we continue this? Right. We're now into South Downs National Park application. SDP/1H/02960, land at Cradle Hill, Alfriston Road. Anyone else in the public like to comment on this application? Open to committee?
I just need to mention that it's been approved, it's been
Oh, sorry.
decided.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Was it? Yeah. Today.
Cross it off.
It wasn't really made clear in the notification that we got, but it's in a way this was a preliminary application from the landowner to the authority to find out whether they would require a full application with all the details. It's called prior notification. It's often used in agricultural development. You can put a very brief, 2-page application with a plan, and if it looks pretty harmless, the authority can say we don't need any more details. In this case, the Downs Authority have said that given the scale of the proposed works and that it would involve the importation of waste materials from elsewhere, full permission is required. So they'll have to go back now and do a full submission. So I'll respond to the notification that we got from South Downs and say, we weren't able to consider the application that you decided on the 30th of August. The decision notice on the website today, but we would like to be consulted on the full application if and when it's. So you just note that, and you don't need to discuss it at this meeting anyway. Is that okay?
Okay, so we go on to Tree Works application, TW/1H/0056/2PO, Hamilton House, Belgrave Road. Anyone else probably like to comment? Open to the committee.
Yeah, it seems all pretty sensible, doesn't it? I propose we support the application.
Any other comments?
Yeah, as I say, like Councillor Elton, it certainly needs it, basically, it's really overgrown on that particular side of the Belgrave Road on the right side, so yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, no problem.
Any other comments? Can I have a show of hands supporting the application? That's unanimous. Okay. Item 5 on the agenda, we've got road closures for Seagull Bonfire on Saturday the 20th of October and Seagull Christmas Magic on Saturday the 1st of December.
Yes, I've attached some colourful plans this time, because the bonfire closures are easier to describe through plans than wording because of different phases of closure. Our own Christmas Magic is the usual set of closures, but as we've got a colourful plan on that one as well, I thought I'd provide some more. The bonfire obviously was postponed last year, and you can see that the different colour codes relate to closures for different periods of the evening.
Sort of rolling closure.
Yeah,
isn't
rolling
it?
closure, yeah.
How far, can I just ask, Madam Chair, how far along the Eastbourne Road does that go? Because it sort of goes off the page, I mean, is it beyond Southdown Road?
It starts at, what, the bonfire?
Yeah, the bonfire.
It starts at the White Line.
Yeah.
And it goes as far as the War Memorial.
But the road closure is showing you going way along the Eastbourne Road, I just wondered how far it
I think
went to.
the buses go around.
It was normally at the top of Southdown Road.
Is it Southdown Road?
Yeah, they cut through.
That's where it starts.
That's where it starts, right?
Because I've stood up there and had to direct the traffic up and round.
Oh, up there,
Yeah.
okay.
Usually get a couple of policemen.
Yeah, I think it's more for the buses than,
Yes.
yeah, so they can be easily diverted. So,
Thank you, Chair. Can I just confirm the timing slightly on the road closures from the White Line back to the War Memorial? Is it? I was pretty sure it's normally slightly earlier than 900, unless it's changed now. I don't know if it was more like 6.
This is what they submitted.
Yeah, I'm
The,
just trying to remember what time they leave the White Line. I'm pretty sure it's,
Well, they start at the White Line and they march up to the wall.
it's always been 7, is it? Not before that time.
but they do start closing before.
Yeah, the one before. Is that where they meet?
Yeah,
So the local project.
yeah, that is closed earlier, but the procession
It's
actually
7
leaves
o'clock.
at 7 o'clock.
Okay, that's fine.
don't take any notice of the spelling mistake and the key in affect. I'm always getting that wrong.
Effect.
Send your guide to us.
So don't object to it on the basis of the spelling mistake, because we'll never be able to defend that.
But it seems to run, both road closure seems to run smoothly year after year.
Yeah, a lot of time to it.
Yeah, so it's, I only have one comment on Christmas magic. I mean, a very angry postman as coming back from his round and couldn't get access to the post office because there was nobody manning the Church Street barrier at that particular time, and obviously somebody was called away or something, but anyway, we'll mention that to the committee of Christmas budget.
Of course, the other thing is when you get your taxi ride from the White Line, you won't be able to go to the Avondale, will you?
No, won't be having the refreshments, no. Sorry, Councillor Brennan.
Yeah, one thing I'm concerned about with the Christmas magic, both Christina and I, we're normally in the St Mary's Church Hall, parking, so we've both got blue badges. You know, it's going to be a bit, is there any provision for disabled parking anywhere?
Blue badges are normally sort of allowed through the barriers as far as safety allows.
Yeah, certain times, yeah.
Well, I know last
Yeah,
time
I
I drove the wrong way up High Street and turned into the wall.
What normally happens down Church Street, the first part of it down to the top of Place Lane, all on the left-hand side and the right-hand side is disabled parking.
Right.
Yeah, by the surgery. Yeah, because I'm on the But yeah, I'll mention that to Sharon anyway.
Yeah, and also with the bonfire, is there any provision for any disabled parking anywhere near the routes? Yeah, it's not just myself I'm asking, but there are.
Well, there's soft street, you know, like
Yeah.
off the main road, it's only the main road and down Broad Street and that, where I personally wouldn't like to park my car when there's flaming torches being thrown on the road.
If there are disabled people that want to see it,
Yes, but I
they
mean,
can't
but the
walk.
side roads are not petitioned on. And as far as round the Martello Fields, that is a difficult one because you've got to have security around there. I know previous years we've sort of parked during the day and they would use the car to go back,
Luckily,
after it's all
I was able to go
over.
straight home from there, just within walking distance.
But that's all I can suggest is that, the parking on the
Well,
side streets.
it's more for other people I'm
Yeah.
sort of concerned about.
Yeah.
I must say, since I've had a group that, it's been very, very aware of
Yes, it does.
this sort of thing.
Yeah, it does.
I definitely think we need a clear indication of where there is blue badge parking.
Yeah, I mean, there's no harm in adding that comment saying there's no objection to the closures, but the committee were concerned that there should be adequate provision of disabled parking places for this event only. Temporary.
Yeah, for
disabled.
both events.
So then there's very few restrictions on after 7 o'clock anyway. You can double yellow lines and that aren't effective after 7. Is it any time? No, single yellow lines. Obviously, okay. But disabled people can park on double yellows
for 3 hours.
For 3 hours, yeah. I know because I've got one as well for my son. So I've had it for about 10 years. So yes, they are useful. I think the 3 hour restriction wouldn't normally apply for an event anyway like this. But I'll mention it when the comments go back to Lewis. Presuming there's no objection to the closures themselves, I'll just add that. Yeah.
Any other comments?
Oh, it's nice to think that we are considering
Yeah.
the needs of disabled people.
Any other comments?
Thank you. Just following on what Councillor Finn was saying, I mean essentially for when bonfire is on, I know it's small fry, so to speak, compared to Lewis, but there is, because basically the procession and the fireworks, they all sort of run into each other. It's not a big gap to time like you do get in Lewis, obviously. So I suppose that the town's a little bit awkward from when to when, would you say? I don't know if you can stress that. The free flow of Seaford is from the time between about 7 to 10. Would you say that's the more difficult?
5 o'clock till 10 o'clock, really.
Yeah, just as an overall time span where you may experience difficulty. I don't know how you feel about that, Jeff.
You mean as a public notice sort of thing?
Well, as though you may experience difficulty in the Seaford if you want to go through it, for example, between the hours of because it is a bit like that, isn't it?
You're asking that we add that as a comment.
Yeah, it's a bit.
A warning should be given, sort of generally.
Well, you do get the big yellow road closure notices.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which are quite, just really sort of tell you.
Plus, I can always get it mentioned on radio.
You can do that as well, because you can do it.
I'll mention it. There's no harm in it, because they can, you can only ignore it.
It's always a bit of a rolling program. It depends on how many people turn up. It can be the town's very busy after the main fireworks as well.
We don't want to close the railway station.
Not enough, we've done it all.
The only time it's
might be close to doing anything.
Like engineering that night.
The only time where it's stationary is obviously around the War Memorial, when you have the wreath laying and sort of prayers and that sort of thing. And then it sort of moves off. But it's usually around about quarter now or so.
And back quarter to 8 isn't it?
Yeah. And then we're off the main road sort of thing. Okay, so we've got the comment about disabled parking and
5 o'clock.
announcement.
Whatever. I just say sort of info.
Any more comments? Or everybody's happy? Proposal and second that we put those comments forward.
1, 2.
And seconded by Councillor Elton. A show of hands, please. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. And item 6, to know the contents of the report about decisions made by Lewes District Council. Any comments on this?
No.
Can we note the report? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that concludes the meeting at 4 minutes past 8. Thank you everybody for coming.
Yeah.